Welcome. Good afternoon. Uh, if you're in Lagos, good afternoon, Lagos. I am Jude Chika Onyedeke, and this is another session on uh, Tech It to Market. And I could see that I have here with me our guest speaker already set to dish out value this afternoon. And it's a pleasure to have every one of you join. And in a very short while, he's going to be introducing himself. He's going to be telling us, um, he's going to be telling us uh, about himself, and then we're going to go straight into questions. We're going to hear from him, and it's obviously going to be tough questions because we need answers to those burning questions that we have. All right. So, if you are watching, wherever you're watching from, kindly let us know in the comments where you're watching from. You can also tell us what you do so that we can take note of that. All right. And please, this conversation is going to be very interactive as possible. You can ask your questions in the comments. You can share your insights in the comments, and let's make this really vibrant. This afternoon, we're going to be talking about fatal mistakes of learning new skills and choosing your path in tech. Okay, this has been where a lot of persons have been confused. They're trying to find their way around things, they're trying to get things sorted, move on with their lives so that they can tap into the tech oil, as has been said or shared, been told about that tech is the new oil. So that's basically what we're going to be answering today. Okay. So I have with me here Harry already. Hello, Harry. Can you? Yeah. Hello, Harry. Good afternoon.
Hi, Chika. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. And hi,
Awesome.
everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah. Good afternoon.
yeah.
Please, if you are watching, like I said, don't hesitate to share this on your platforms so that people can get to uh, watch as well. They can get to benefit from this session. It's going to be value filled, I promise you, because we did due diligence before bringing Harry to come and talk on this topic because and I know a lot of persons have questions. Like we would say along the conversation, I've been in communities and the conversations have really been hot about around learning tech skills and uh, making money with tech. So these are really hot topics and hot conversations. But before we proceed, I want to share a brief about Harry, read his bio, or he's going to introduce himself still, but I'm going to read his bio. So the things that are not in his bio, he's going to tell us because the bio is just very brief. It's not detailed, not very detailed. So we'd like to hear his story, but first I'll read Harry's bio. So Harry is a management expert with over 8 years of managerial experience in tech, cutting across operations, product growth, and talent development in sectors like fintech, SaaS, that is software as a service, and ed tech. He is the co-founder and CEO of Treford, an ed tech startup focused on building no-code tech talents in Africa through cohort-based programs and e-learning platform. With over 15,000 professionals going through Treford courses and programs over the last 2 years. Harry is also a co-convener of No Code Tech Summit in Lagos. He holds a BSc in Electronic and Electrical Engineering from Obafemi Awolowo University, Great Ife, and a global certification in project management, PMP, and a human resource management. When Harry is not working, He's sharing insights via his private tech channels. He also loves to cook and aspires to become a professional chef after his tech journey. I would pry into this part because I like food. So I'm definitely going to ask questions about this. So that's Harry, and let's definitely hear Harry. Harry, welcome on board. We'd like to hear your story. How's it been for you?
Yeah,
How did you get into tech? How has the journey been like?
yeah. Hi, Chika. And first of all, thanks for having me. I just want to confirm you can hear me clearly. Then I
Yes,
proceed.
I can hear you 100%.
Awesome, awesome. Hello, everyone. Regardless of the time zone you are joining in from, I want to thank you for making out time during the day to join this. Yeah, and also I want to thank Chika for the great initiative to impact people and help people just gain insightful information through sessions like this. Yeah, I connect easily with visions like this, and no matter how hectic, I had to stop a meeting to just join this. Yeah, I was actually in the product call in house at Trefford, but I had to tell them that I have a commitment that I need to fulfill. Yeah, and that just shows how important this is to me. So well done, yeah, well done, and yeah,
Thank you.
I'll just quickly go into my story. Yeah, so
Okay.
like you said, I'm a graduate of electronic and electrical engineering, and but my journey and my whole career has been in the tech space and in the management or the non-technical side of tech for the last 8 years. This is probably my ninth year in tech now. Yeah, and all along in tech, my career has been built on the non-engineering side of tech, and I started noticing that inclination even way before I got into university. Um, I'm the son of an electrical engineer, a successful electrical engineer, who obviously the only son, and he wanted me to also follow in that footstep. Obviously, when parents make decisions like this, it is out of love. Yeah.
Of course.
Even though we might not interpret it that way, they are just looking out for you, trying to make the best decision for you. But at times that might not align with your skills and abilities. Yeah. So I remember I remember sharing. So there's this pivotal moment I always remember where I shared. So that back then in the early 2000s, DSTV used to have this monthly issue magazine for DSTV customers then. So it contains a lot of their programs. You can just check through them and things like that. And I remember checking the profile of the CEO of MultiChoice at the time. I think a South African. He had a BSc in electrical engineering, but he had an MBA. So I remember going to share with my dad then. I told him the reason this man is the CEO of a company as big as MultiChoice, then there were really no tech companies at the time. So MultiChoice was pretty much, MultiChoice is still one of the biggest companies from Africa when it comes to revenue every other year. So I remember I checked the profile. I checked at the back of the magazine. They showed the profile of the CEO. He had he studied electrical engineering, but he also had an MBA. So I remember telling my dad, I remember taking the magazine to my dad and telling my dad, the reason this man is this, I was probably 14 at the time, and I was like, the reason this man is the CEO of MultiChoice is because he has a business background blended with his technical background. So he understands the technical side of things, but he has a very solid training through his MBA that also makes him understand the business side of things. As a result, he can manage a company at this scale, making business decisions for this company. And I
You
told
did
my
that
dad,
at
I see this
14.
direction. Yes. And I told my dad, I see myself,
Wow.
I see myself headed in this direction too, career wise. I'm going to do my BSc in engineering, but I'm going to head the business route after that. I want to focus on making sure that the technical people, the engineering folks can, like the business side of things is catered for. So someone who understands them and speaks their language can manage them, and provide business strategy that they implement from a technical point of view. That was just my proposition at the time. And
Awesome.
interestingly, I followed through with that. But it might not necessarily to
Hello, Harry. Uh, can you hear me? I can barely hear you. Hello. Um, okay, so while we're waiting for Harry to fix um, internet, probably. Okay. While we're waiting for him to fix the internet, basically, we want to use this opportunity to answer burning questions as regards um, transitioning to tech or getting started to tech in tech. Okay, I think he's back. All right. Um, okay, Harry, can you hear me?
confirm. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Back.
can hear you. Welcome back.
All right. All right. Sorry for that glitch here. So let me just quickly go back
Okay,
to,
that's
let me just
fine.
quickly, yeah, let me round up my story. So,
All
when
right.
I got into university, actually got that privilege of studying electronic and electrical engineering. But I had that privilege of always having a lot of guys around me who were very interested in coding, who were actually coding. They were writing
Okay.
code. They were already they were already trying to build startups and build softwares at the time. Yeah. But for me, my interest in whatever they were building then was always, how can we position this thing as a successful product
Mm-hmm.
where it generates revenue and becomes a successful business. That was always my obsession. And I think the first real moment that now solidified that interest was when Facebook launched.
Okay.
Yeah, so I remember when Facebook launched at the time. While people were very obsessed about it as a social media platform where they could connect with people, where they could chat with people, my obsession was about the mind behind building this a product like this and making it a successful business. Yeah. So I started studying that more, and I knew, I think I want to go this route. I think I want to be able to help technical people build things successfully and position it as a business. So my first opportunity to do that was in a startup at the time while I was in school. So I had two senior colleagues who were very smart software engineers at the time. Yeah. So they were already doing very cool stuff, like product wise, software wise, and but they just wanted to be able to focus on that, and they needed someone to also come in to handle things from a management point of view, put a
Okay.
structure to things, put an operational structure to things, put a business structure to things. Yeah, and they gave me my first chance to do that with them. Yeah, so I got into the company, came in as the third person, who was like the first management person or the first operational person at the time, and I helped them put a structure that actually helped them scale into now having products that people were using, scale into raising their first fund, help them expanding into more like into multiple locations, recruiting tons of engineers who were now working with us from within Nigeria and outside of the country. And we set up a remote structure even before remote work became a thing. We implemented all these things successfully at the time, and I had very minimal experience at the time doing pulling all of this off. So that gave me an opportunity to learn while also working. Yeah. So a lot of my skills then I gained a lot of them on the job. It gave me an opportunity to make a lot of mistakes at the time, but also learn, understanding the fact that your mistakes has consequences because it's a real life business this time around. It's not a project. It's not something you are working on in a pseudo environment. Yeah, so I was able to harness my skill from there, and since then I've been able to work with like quite a number of companies, consulting for some, helping some launch products. At least I've been part of about um, at yeah. My joy.
I can barely hear you. I can barely hear you. I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. Can you hear me? For like 5 minutes, I lost the sound. Trying to check if. Can you hear me? Hello? You can't hear me. Okay, while we're working on that, all right, guys, while we're working on that, please stay tuned. Where don't go anywhere. I want to be sure this is okay.
Can hear me.
I can hear you now. I don't know what the problem
All
is.
right.
Maybe it's the internet or yeah.
I mean,
So I was
I
sending
lost
you
you
a
for some
chat.
time.
Yes. So I almost missed out on most of the things you said, but I hope that we
Okay.
can get them back with the recording. So you
All
were
right.
please can you like continue while
All right, no problem.
I'm
All right,
listening.
so basically, the whole experience of having to build Treford came from my first experience in the tech startup while working in operations in another startup. One of the key things I noticed was, unlike now, back in say 2015, 2014, in tech space in Nigeria, there was a very huge difference between someone who was building or positioning as an engineering talent in tech versus someone who was positioning as a non-technical talent. Yeah, the growth trajectory was very different. The access to opportunities was very different for both sides. For the engineering guys, they could easily transition into roles and even grow within 2 years. Whereas for a non-technical, and that was because they had access to community. There were communities like GDG all around
Yeah.
Nigeria, all around campuses, where they could leverage on people's experience, where they could leverage on mentors and just grow their careers. Yeah. So you could easily see people just become software engineers by committing to learning, by committing to accessing resources from communities within 6 months to 1 year. And these people can actually they can now commit their code to even building products successfully for companies. Yeah. But for non-technical people who were looking to build careers in products, in business development, in operations, there was no template. There was nobody to learn from. There was nobody to leverage on their experience. There was no structure they could leverage on. For software developers who were in university, they could leave school, and by the time they are leaving school, 2 to 3 the business side. Hear me?
I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. The line is breaking. Uh, I cannot hear you. Uh, I okay. I really can't hear you. I had to move to a different location. Maybe the internet is the challenge. So, but okay, okay. Can you try connecting with a desktop or a laptop? Can you try connecting with a laptop? All right. Okay. So, um, all right, guys. That's Harry sharing his story, his journey into tech, and okay, I won't believe that he has been able to sort that part out. Okay. All right. So, yeah, basically, we'll be answering questions on starting your tech journey, the mistakes that you can make while trying to get into tech, the things you should be aware of, the mindsets that you need to begin your tech career, and basically, you need. We are going to be talking about real life applications for some of the strategies that we'll be sharing here. All right. Hello, Harry, can you hear me?
Yeah, 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 I can hear you clearly, loud and clear.
Okay. I want to believe that this is not a network glitch because it's happening currently, but
Yeah,
we'll proceed either ways.
I think it's a software. It's a software glitch. I don't think it's a network glitch.
Okay,
Yes, so
because the network is
yeah,
obviously strong here.
yeah,
So I
it's a
mean,
software
technology is
glitch
great.
from yeah, yeah. So
So
we could
technology
just
is
proceed
great,
to
but
the
then
questions.
yeah.
Yeah, we could proceed to the questions and make the most of what we have left.
Okay. So well, for me to start with, I wanted us to look at the hype around tech skills these days. The hype, the music around it, the marketing around it, and how it's been, people have, or those who are behind the marketing, have been able to position tech in a way that appears to be more dangerous in the long run to the ecosystem. So, what's the hype around tech? What do you think about it from an honest point of view?
Okay, so there is nothing really happening now that hasn't happened before when it comes
Okay.
to the hype and the buzz around tech. Yeah, but um, so my honest opinion about it is there is no sector where you just become. There's really a lot of people we call overnight success.
Harry, I've lost you again. I think this is more compatible with a device. Okay, so okay, all right. We're having a little glitch trying to connect and then stay on course. Please don't go anywhere. Share the link to this video. Get people in your get people in your communities, in your network to join in. Don't forget to share your insights. Don't forget to share your comments, and we hope that we can take the lead from that. Harry,
Yeah,
do you mind trying this out with a laptop, possibly?
yeah, that's fine. I can try that out. I can try that out.
Let's see how that works.
All right.
Because normally it has always been around that. Okay. All right. So share this, drop your insights and what you're learning from the whole conversation. And to be honest, there's a lot of hype around tech, and that's what we're trying to diffuse. We're trying to make it really clear. And Harry is one expert that is training so many other professionals into getting them in roles where they can function as non-technical personnel in the tech ecosystem. Okay, and of course we know tech is great, building solutions is awesome, but then we need to really be um, also concerned about the part of tech that does not require so much technicality like writing code, okay? Because those are the parts of tech that has to deal with the people that you're trying to solve their problems with. And if you don't understand that part of tech, it means that you're just going to be building technology for technology's sake, okay? Um, all right, it's good to have we have Harry back. Okay. Okay.
Hi,
Hello, Harry.
man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Apologies for this whole breakage. To everyone who has tuned in, apologies for the experience. Yeah.
yeah.
Can you confirm that you can hear
Technology is not the bad guy.
confirm you can hear me well?
I can't hear you well.
Awesome,
I
awesome.
can hear you well. So you were saying about the hype around tech.
All right, yes. So about the hype, yes, there's a current hype around tech. We can't run away from that. Yeah. But my honest opinion, which is something I've always told the my team, that's the people who my colleagues, I prefer to always see my colleagues at Trefford is please never sell a false avoid creating false perception to people. There is no um there's really so I see a couple of things that have probably gotten me disturbed in recent times where you, in a bid to sell a course to people, you tell people to become a millionaire in 6 months, or become a millionaire in 3 months after learning this skill, or do this and land a job immediately and things like that. I'm like, so a major part of my career, and a part of my career that is still very active, is the part that which I feel I could not mention due to the whole glitch during the introduction, is I've been a technical recruiter all my career. That means in my first journey in tech, a major part of my career was recruiting technical and non-technical talent for tech companies. Yeah, I did that for my own startup where I worked, where I grew from HR operations manager there till I grew to becoming the chief operations officer there. Recruitment is still an active part of my career. And I know one thing I know for sure is yes, there are jobs, there are actually tech jobs. That's one thing we need to first of all agree on. There are actually tech jobs, but there are very limited tech jobs the way people preach about it for people who are just getting started and they are looking to become if you are coming to tech for the purpose of becoming an overnight success, you are probably coming to the wrong place. Every sector, there is a process in every sector. You cannot bypass process. Nobody becomes an overnight star in any field. Before you can become someone that people pay attention to, regardless of the industry, regardless of the sector, you have to put in the work. So this also applies to tech. I'm going to use the entertainment sector as a reference. A lot of the people are calling overnight success as musicians, people who are producing skits, people in comedy. What we call overnight success for those of that overnight for a lot of these people actually was years in the making. For some of them, it is 5 years, it is 4 years. For some of them, it's even over almost a decade. Yeah. Obviously, the thing about tech is the fact that tech is what makes tech is speed and velocity. Things happen at a faster rate in tech. The reason they call startup is the ability for things to happen from 0 to 1,000 at a very short space of time, because you are applying technology to accelerate the pace at which you can reach more people. Yeah, but for you to be able to apply skills in a way that you earn some form of money, you earn revenue, you earn for bringing that skill to play, there's a process you have to go through. That process means you gaining enough skills for people to trust you to develop things at scale. Yeah, so you have to learn your ropes. So just like every other sector, tech is not an exemption to you learning your ropes. Yeah, so is there can we do is there I wish is there something we can do about that hype and reduce the hype? I wish there's something we could do, but I one thing I have always tried to make people realize is that there's a process. You have to go through that process. Yeah, there's nothing like you learn something now and you become a millionaire tomorrow. You learn a skill now, you become a millionaire in 3 months. I mean, if there's a tech skill like that, I would probably easily jump into it too. Yeah, or would all jump into it. So yeah, that hype is real, but no anyone who is coming into tech just for that purpose might have to rethink their strategy. They might have to rethink it because you have to pay the price. You have to go through a process. It is after going through that process, the money people are talking about in tech, the money people are talking about making in tech, that money goes to people that are trusted for their ability to deliver at a certain scale. So that's my honest opinion.
Awesome, awesome. That's really, really insightful. I mean, I just needed us to clear the air before we start the whole
Yeah.
conversation. All right. Okay. So, what in your take? There are people who want to get into tech, and the first thing is they just see some ad talking about cybersecurity, and it sounds really cool. Or they see some ad talking about project or product management, and it sounds cool. Like we used to think about law and medicine in those days. So, how do you think newbies, especially, are getting it wrong when picking a skill they want to learn in tech?
Yeah. So first of all, yeah, there's the part of newbies who don't really know how to navigate the tech landscape. Yeah, so there's that learning curve they have to go through to really know what works best for them or what comes more natural for them. Yeah, and at times you might have to learn multiple things before you now settle on one. because you probably now found easier success when it comes to maybe the first path to landing an actual job that now pays you well. Yeah, but there are certain mindsets that needs to be changed. The mindset of shortcuts, I think we need to play down on that. Yeah, there are really no shortcuts. Regardless of whatever you want to learn, you need to first of all put in the right. Even as a newbie, you have to bring in the right mindset. That mindset means that you need to there's you need yes, there are certain skills that comes more naturally to you. Yeah, but there is really no tech skill that you would not still have to learn your ropes. So there's no shortcut. Yeah, even if it's cyber security you want to learn, if it is product management you want to learn, there's a part you have to play. So this mindset of, oh, I paid X dollars to learn stuff, the responsibility is no longer my career responsibility is no longer mine. It is now these people's responsibility to make me a success in life. I think it has to change. So it's so that there's a part of personal responsibility. There's also the part of whoever is trying to help you learn certain skills. Yeah, those people also have a responsibility to let you know early enough that yeah, this is not particularly a shortcut to success. Yeah, this is a career path. This is what this career path is about. So we noticed this in the very early days of Treford, where quite a number of people just came to learn because they had the notion that there was a job waiting for them somewhere. The moment they just finished learning this, that by the time they wake up the next day, there are 5 companies already calling them that come and resume. Please, you are the one we've been waiting for. Sadly, there's no skill like that. There's no skill like that. But there's one other thing. There's one other reality. There are so many career paths in tech that are still underfilled. That means there are not so many people who actually know about them. There are some other career paths that so many people know about and they have rushed it, and as a result, it's kind of oversaturated at the entry level stage. There are so many people who wake up every other day, come on LinkedIn, someone has already acquired a new certificate and they post it on LinkedIn. They just got this certificate from this person and they are now open to employment. But there are opportunities in tech that still not many people really know about. Yeah. And as a result, the route in a job there might be faster than other routes. I hope so what I'm trying to carefully do on this call is create a balance in motion. Yeah. First of all, the myth of quickly becoming a success overnight because you learned a skill. You need to quash that notion. It doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. But there's another notion that there's another reality in tech currently. Because the fact that there are no jobs is also a lie. There are jobs. But are there enough jobs for entry-level talent? No, there is not enough jobs for entry-level talent. There is not enough opportunity for entry-level talent. And what I mean by entry-level talent, people who they are just looking for an opportunity to get started and learn on the job. There are not enough opportunities for them. That is one reality we need to deal with. Yeah. So as an entry-level person, are there creative ways to navigate this reality? Yes. There are creative ways to navigate this reality. But there is another reality that it might take time for you to now eventually realize what resonates more naturally with you in tech. Some people started from design in tech and eventually transitioned to product managers because they now found out that actually what they really enjoy doing is not designing products. They enjoy collaborating with everyone involved, from the engineering side to the design side. But because they have learned a lot about design early enough, it helps them map out. They have this ability to create design thinking. That they have the ability to use design thinking to solving actual product problems. Yeah. So eventually they transition from product design or UX to becoming product managers. Some people transition from software engineering to becoming product managers. Some people transition from product managers to becoming product marketing folks. Yeah. So there are different routes to different people. Some have to navigate multiple skills before now settling on one. Some even practiced one for some time before settling on another. And there's another reality of some just got a role, like some got an opening. That opening, they didn't even train for it, but because they've been around that particular environment, the opportunity to probably become a product manager came up in that company. Maybe they were in business or they were in customer relations, and they eventually transitioned to product because the people saw that this person, this lady, this guy understands a lot of things about products. We might as well just bring this person into this role. The person learns on the job and learn via maybe other resources. So there's that other reality too. So regardless of your path, you just need to understand that there are multiple routes into building a successful career in tech. Understand your route and make the most of the opportunities within your current environment and realities.
All right. That's really a lot of insights you have shared there. And if you're watching, please don't hesitate to drop your comments, share this link with your friends, let them come and hear what how we are trying to trash some of this erroneous mindsets that people have while coming into tech. For one, I will tell you honestly, I came into tech too because of the money, and that's not a lie.
It is
Everybody
not wrong.
comes here because of the money.
It is not wrong.
But then,
Yeah, it's not a wrong notion to have. The reason we are building
yeah,
career, the reality of a career is to be able to make a living enough to cater for your goals, cater for your family, cater for your needs. So wanting to make money is not wrong, but the mindset of there is you just learn the skill and the next day, man, like you just start getting credit alert and all of that. No, it didn't happen like that. All the successful product people, all the successful even startup founders you see, it's not just the overnight success a lot of people keep seeing. It probably took years for them. Yeah. But are we wrong to want to make money for a skill that we have? No. Even other sectors, the reason people go into building careers in other sectors is the first and most primary thing is you need to make money. It is when you make money that you have a clearer mind to now start understanding certain things you are probably more passionate about. So it is not wrong to want to make money. Nobody should go to a career path just for the sake of maybe wanting to explore. It is important to be able to place monetary value on your skills. But the caveat is the more monetary value you can place on your skills, then obviously the better you have to be at doing a particular thing. So people always tend to forget that part. If you are good, people will pay you. There are people right now that there are multiple companies on their neck. There are people who actually turn down offers from companies. Yeah. Whereas there are other people who are chasing multiple companies up and down, and those companies are telling them we don't have an opening for you. It's not really that they don't have an opening for them. You don't have the required skills they need to achieve their business goals. So if you can use your skills to help business achieve business goals at different scale, then the money will rush you. That's just the reality.
that's mind blowing. I feel some of these things we're dealing with right now
Yeah.
is just a is just a um, the ripple effect of when you go to school and then you come out. I mean, the traditional institutions that we go to,
Yeah.
and then you come back, you're graduated. Your mother is expecting that you're coming back, you're coming in with a car
Yeah.
and a jeep, and then you're changing the whole world.
Yeah.
You're the one reigning in town.
Yeah.
So I believe we as young people can do better to not think like our parents. We are obviously not. This is a different era, it's a different generation, so we can do better than not want to begin to think like that. So the next question I'd like to ask here is, okay, we have seen a lot of people get into tech, and let's just say, oh, all right, so I'll just go on now. Anything you can learn on YouTube, you can learn anything online, you can learn anything anywhere. And so really there's no regulated channels for this learning, okay? Which also has to do with my question on a roadmap. for your learning journey. So there's no regulated channels, there's no streamlined process like you have in a university setting where you have to go through 4 years learning those skills and then coming out, and if you're when you're done you can say really you have actually understood the nitty-gritties of what this course or this discipline is about. So what's your take on on irregulated channels? I mean, learning through them, through those irregulated channels, and how do we get the best out of those platforms?
All right. So yeah, I get what you are saying, and what you are saying is, unlike the structured university setting, a lot of tech skills people learn them in shorter time compared to what you have in the actual university setting, where you have to go through 7 years, 4 years, 3 years, and the likes. Yeah. How do we create that kind of structure when it comes to the learning space? Yeah. And I think the first thing I would have to say is um, the ed tech space is still in the very nascent stage. That's still in the very, very, very earliest of stages. Yeah. And as a result, people are still, it's actually still a very small market, a growing market. Yeah. So people are still trying to figure out ways to create solutions for people who are looking to build careers in tech, who are looking to acquire skills in tech. Yeah. Yes. In the nearest future, obviously, there are more regulations that are going to come to that. There are more standards that are going to come into that. But in the meantime, my take is so I have as in my managerial career in tech, I've managed people who went through school. I've worked with people who actually studied BSc in computer engineering, MSc in a computer engineering course, and I saw the impact of them bringing that skill to work because they were actually really good at what they did. Yeah, I've also worked with people who just learned within 3 to 6 months. They learn how to code and they try to bring that to work too. Yeah, and I saw the pros and cons of that. I saw the fact that at times they might bump into scenarios that they have not learned anyway, and they have to now find ways to figure out solutions to solving that particular problem. Yeah, but I have also met self-taught people, self-taught engineers, self-taught product folks who, yes, in the early days there were lots of mistakes that they had to make. Yeah, but eventually they became really, really, really good at it. Yeah, so the structural side.
Hello, Harry. Can you hear me? Hello. Okay, so let's say software again, acting up. All right. And while we're waiting for him to reconnect to join us again, so while we're waiting for him to join us again, like I said, feel free to share. Feel free to. Okay,
Yeah, so like I
you're
was
back.
saying,
Okay.
I have worked with people who spent. I myself, I have like global certifications that gives me both skills and also work experience to practice the things I do, from product to people to talent. Yeah, I learned a lot on the job, but I also have like certifications that took me like a few years to actually acquire. Yeah, before I can actually apply these things. And then one thing I would say is, I mean, it's still very early days, and it might still be a bit too early to put in too much structure too soon, because that might also have a way of hindering innovation. We are seeing the early stage of innovation when it comes to developing skills for tech talent. But I like what the new minister of IT, Dr. Bosu Tijani, he's already taking measures to creating structure to help develop technical talent for the country. Yeah. But the current quality control to these things is, at the end of the day, the recruitment process. When you have to go through recruitment process, yeah, a recruiter has a way of testing if you have the skills you say you have, if you can actually deploy those things on the job. Yeah. So one of the ways at Trefford, what we have done, one of the ways we have curtailed for this is we our curriculums, we try to work very closely with recruiters, with founders, and with people who are senior people in different non-technical spaces, product marketing, design. We try to work from a recruiter's point of view, from a founder's point of view, in understanding what they need someone to come and deploy, even in the early stages of acquiring a particular skill. Then we develop from there. Yeah. So a lot of skills need to be taught from a more practical point of view than an academic or a theoretical point of view. People need to be able to transfer these skills they are learning into a project as soon as possible. So yeah, so it's going to take a while to now put a very broad structure into these things. But I think the earlier we make these skills, we develop these skills or these courses from a more practical point of view, the better it is for the people who are learning them.
Awesome, awesome. That's really good to hear. So you tell me, what you think as regards transitioning to tech. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of persons are already in their careers. Okay, they're probably medical doctors before. Some of them were already traders. Some of them were already cobblers. Some of them were already doing something with their life. And then they heard the news that tech is like the best thing after jollof rice. Okay, and they're like, okay, let me see how this goes. And then they are told, you have to know how to code. And straight up, they jump into force themselves into that box of trying to learn how to code. And I mean, so basically, the question is, how do you find what a career match for yourself in tech? How do you discover your purpose? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to do things that will, in the long run, you feel like you're working instead of you are enjoying what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Okay, when you are doing something you're passionate about, it doesn't feel like work. All right, but then when you are not doing what you're passionate about, that's when you feel like, oh god, I'm stressed out, I'm burning out because I'm working. Obviously, so evident. So these two sides, how do you transition from your previous career into tech, or probably you finish studying something in school and you're trying to say, okay, how does what I studied, how does it fit in tech, or how do I find my purpose, my passion, something I'm passionate about? How do I find it in tech? How do I go about that? So let's hear you.
All right. I mean, that's a good one. So, and I think that is kind of where Trefford specializes in. Yeah. We at Trefford, you are never really going to see any anything but from our content team. It's hard for you to see content around telling people, promising them we want to help them break into tech. Yeah. Or we want to help them land a job in 2 months. You hardly see any content around that from Trefford. You mostly see content built around helping people maybe transfer the skills they have from one sector into another sector. And we've done that for quite a number of people successful. Or we've seen that happens multiple times. We've seen lawyers who learned at Trefford and transitioned into product managers. We've seen people who transition from oil and gas into product. We've seen people who transition from multiple sectors successfully into tech. And one of the things I would say is transitioning most times doesn't necessarily mean you are leaving everything you learned there for something else. It means you are looking for how to transfer some of the skills you have currently have into another, from one sector to another sector. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people from the banking space, I've seen a lot of people from the auditing space transfer their skills from there into another sector, which is tech. Yeah. I've seen people transfer a lot of their skills in into products, into marketing, into content. Yeah. So the key thing is to first of all make them realize that a lot of the things they've learned are not a waste. Yeah, it is just about now letting them. In fact, a lot of things when they now probably go through resources or go through a cohort or go through classes, they now realize that, oh, I already do a lot of these things that you are talking about. Yeah, but it is not the same language. It is not the same terminologies. We just use a different terminology. So for some people, a lot of this transition is just helping them now speak the language that is spoken in this new sector. Yeah. And as a result of that, a lot of things on their CVs are not wasted. There are things you can now help them reposition, and you end up seeing that they can now take those things successfully into a different job. Yeah, and they might not even now start from entry level. They might start from maybe mid level. Yeah. So is there a structure to this? That structure is still taking shape. But one of the first things I just want people to focus on more is they can focus on the word transferable skills. Yeah, look at some of the things you are already doing, and look at how they are closely related to the new sector you are looking to move to. If it is tech, look at how you can transfer some of your people relation skills, even in bank, your people relation skills in your current sector. Look at how you can transfer it into products. Yeah, then maybe just now learn the lingos of that particular field and look for platforms that gives you opportunity to now practice a bit before you can now say you are fully transitioning. So I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. It does. So, if this there's another part out to the question, which I don't know if there's you have a different perspective,
All right.
and that is finding your purpose, your passion,
Okay.
what you know, those things that talk about God's given talent, the thing
Okay.
that you like to do, or the things that you have flair for.
Yeah.
Okay, finding them in tech and starting your career journey with that. Sometimes I feel like in the reality, some of these things may not really be the high paying stuff, but as long as you're within the ecosystem, that's what I'm thinking. But then, how do you even find them in the first place?
Man, um, so in the African space, hello, can you hear me?
I can hear
All
you.
right, all right,
I can
that's
hear
fine.
you.
So yeah, it's important to do things you are passionate about, but I think one of the first and most important things within our current context, within our current terrain, is to be able to exchange your skills for some form of financial value. Yeah, I think that the more you earn from a particular skill set you have developed, the easier it is for you to want to actually continue in that line. Yeah. So there are one of the biggest frustration for people is learning a lot of skills and not being able to translate that skill into money. That means maybe landing a job that they can now get paid for. Yeah. So I think one of the first and most important things that would encourage you to actually do more is getting paid for some of the skills you have currently learned. That means finding a way you can apply the things you've currently learned in apply them in a sector, apply them on a job, apply them on a project. Yeah. When you get paid for these things, you are probably even motivated to now learn more. Yeah. So in our terrain, the most important thing is to first of all be able to translate your skills, the things you are learning, be able to translate them into some form of value. That means where you can actually get paid for them as early as possible. Then, yeah, eventually it's easier for you to now start figuring out things you are much more passionate about. You get you might find it hard to figure out a passion when you are hungry, when you have not eaten. So it is easier to start discovering more passion when you have food in your stomach. Yeah, you cannot be telling someone who has not eaten to keep trying to figure out passion. Yeah, convert some of your skills into money, then use that. From that position it becomes easier for you to now figure out maybe this is not what I want to do on the long term or for the long term. maybe this is what I think I'm now much more passionate about. So it's important to understand the current stage that a particular person is that you are talking to. Then frame your advice from that person's reference, or that person's reference point, or from that person's current reality. If someone does not have money to eat, I cannot be telling them about passion. I'm looking at how I can use what they have learned to earn money that they can use to feed. If someone is if someone already has crossed that stage where they can already earn something that they are earning to something that caters for all their basic needs, it's easier for me to now tell that person to want to aspire for more. That means they want to learn more in a way that now positions them as a much more experienced person in that field, or they want to use that foundation to probably learn something else that probably now pays them more. Yeah, then maybe when they now get into that position where they are able to translate that skills into a more specialized space, where they are now like fintech experts. They are designers, but they are designers with experience of designing fintech products, or they are product managers with experience of designing edtech products. It is easier for me to now give them advice on how to specialize, and how to then from there they can now understand, okay, I'm probably more passionate about this particular sector, or I have built a lot of experience in this particular sector. I think I want to now position myself as a thought leader in this sector. That means I want to put in more passion, yeah, into doing the extra work of positioning as a thought leader in this particular space. And that is going to take some time. But I'm always focused on, oh, is this person able to take care of his or herself yet? Is this person able to pay their current bills? Once they do that, yeah, we can now talk about other things. Yeah, where we can now say, okay, what are the things you feel you have been more interested in? Yeah, when they now realize what they are more interested in, I can now find how to advise them on how to position from an area of interest. Yeah, so it's more like the Maslow hierarchy, Maslow pyramid of needs. Yeah, you need to eat. After eating, you need shelter. After shelter, you need the sense of belonging, where you now feel you are counted as you are part of a community. Then eventually you need self-fulfillment, or where you need to now position as someone who can be recognized as the best of the best in their field. You get? So so depending on that stage, yeah, understand your current reality. Once you know you have met those basic needs, then put in a bit more work into positioning as an expert in a particular field. You might now realize the field that resonates more with you. I know the field that resonates more with me. I know that I have passion for edtech, but I didn't start my journey in edtech. Yeah, the reason I realized I have passion for edtech was because I had already done a lot of things in other sectors. You get? So our reality in this part of the world is very different from the reality of people in the western part of the world. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. That's really, really insightful. If we go by what you have said, that
Yeah.
means you have to figure out how to eat first
Yes.
before
Yes.
um, finding what really ticks for you. I
Yes.
I I totally understand that part, because in this part of the world, we don't really talk about the Maslow pyramid a lot,
Yeah.
and you find that most persons who are running into tech were at the base of that pyramid. Okay, a
Yeah.
lot of people who are
Yeah.
trying to and they want to just get out of the rat hole. They want to just take a quantum leap into a life of uh, freedom and the life of means. But
Yeah.
then tech obviously can, it's not that if tech cannot offer these opportunities, but we have
Yeah.
to wake up to the reality that to
Yeah.
take some time, and then it will also take effort, your own personal effort.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's really, you wanted to say something?
So let me sorry for continue. Let me quickly shape. Let me Yeah. In tech,
Okay.
your entry into tech might not be product management. You might have gone through a lot of product management training, resources, free paid resources, but your immediate entry, your most practical entry into tech might not be as a product manager. Your most practical entry into tech might be customer success or customer relations. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you might see an opening in a company that you desire, but the opening might not be as a product manager immediately. The opening might be customer success, customer experience. The opening might be content marketing, or they need someone who understands how to create content on products from a product management point of view. But your job there day to day might be to create right content. It might be social media, yeah. But the most important thing is to enter. When you enter, it is easier to now figure out or navigate the route. You get. So if you are not
Okay.
in there, it is 10 times harder for someone who is outside than for someone who is inside. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the person who is inside might be a social media manager. Who is inside might be a customer success person. The person who is inside might be a support person. Yeah, but they are inside. That person is already building momentum. That person is interacting with people every other day. That person is building relationships every other day with tech people, with CEOs, with startup founders, and stuff like that. Yeah, but the most important thing is take a step that gives you an entry. Once you are in there, the role you get into as an entry level person might not be the role you are dreaming about for starters. Yeah, but enter regardless. Don't sit down and turn down opportunities because it is not your
Yeah.
dream opportunity. You get,
Yeah.
that is the
Yeah.
practical way to build a tech career. The
Yeah.
most
Okay.
important thing is start. Get into
Okay.
tech. Stop sitting down waiting for that dream opportunity to jump on your laps. There are
Mm-hmm.
probably 5,000 or 10,000 other people like you who also want that dream job you are looking for. But there
Mm-hmm.
might be fewer people who probably want who are not. There might be fewer people available to take on the less attractive roles. You get, but those less
Yeah.
attractive roles is what gives you the momentum to now build that muscle to now like take the next step, which might be the much more attractive or roles you are now much more passionate about. So that is the practicality of tech and building a career in tech.
Awesome, awesome. This is obviously like an eye opener because a lot of persons want to do this and they feel like, oh, this is what I'm going for. And then every other thing is more like a distraction. But if they have skills that align in those areas, why not give it a shot and then start from somewhere? I really, really appreciate that you had to share this so that some persons who have been
Yeah.
sitting on the fence can immediately get in without delay. Okay, so let's
Yes.
if you are still watching, this is for viewers. If you're still watching, kindly share your insights, connect, and share this across your platform so that people can come and hear this truth that we're sharing here. Because I mean, some of them are out there, they don't hear these things, and because they don't hear them, they remain in the dark. All right, our next question here that I have for you is that we know that there's what they call them the in-demand skills. Okay, those skills are in demand. They are high in demand. That is the truth is we really cannot even tell what is high in demand these days because there's this kind of marketing around the skills. You cannot tell what is in high demand, and you cannot really tell what is where the market is already saturated. So when they say a skill is high in high demand, okay, and then what we are seeing by the side is there's an evident high rate of unemployment still in the sector, and then I'm asking how does this meet? There's no this doesn't correlate. I attended an event recently where I was talking with this guy. He was so in fact I believe he has been learning for a while on uh, cloud operations, cloud services for businesses, and all that. And he shared something with me. He said he has really been in the space trying to get in, trying to get introduced, trying to get offers. I mean, coming through the main door obviously is going to be hard because you are just like 1,001 applicants trying to get that same role. So he was of the opinion of trying to get into relationships that can improve his chances. So, then I'm really looking at it. Cloud as a service and cloud, everything about cloud is just more like not really too recent, but major roles in those areas are kind of a recent development. And then still, there are people who have been learning on this path, they've been trying their hands, but they cannot get it. Is it that there's something is not balancing somewhere? There's something obviously not balancing because they've been preparing for themselves for these roles. The roles are there, but then they are not being employed. So what's the missing gap? What's the missing block there, or the missing pattern that you have noticed?
All right. So the yes, there are roles where there are, like, I think almost every other week I'm probably recommending a talent to one founder or the other, all year long, all year long. Yeah, multiple roles from operations. I've recruited for operations this year for startups. I have recruited for products this year. I've recruited software engineers this year. I've recruited quality assurance folks this year. I have matched co-founders. If I've recruited even on co-founder level, where I recommend to founders. So,
Awesome.
so one thing I would say is, yes, there are actually in demand. There are skills that a lot of companies are actually hiring for. Yeah, but a lot of times, maybe what they are not told is the experience level that are being hired for at a very high rate.
Okay.
You get the demand for entry level folks might not be as high as people who are probably mid-level. Let me use product management as an example. Yeah, every other year, I'm not sure I keep track of the number of product managers I have to recommend to my fellow founders and friends and other companies, even at a higher scale. Yeah, but one of the and yes, they even hire entry level roles. Yeah, so now let me give you a deeper dive into the practical way Nigerian companies or even African companies recruit. So a lot of times when a lot of startups say they are hiring interns, most times those what they are really saying is that they want to hire an entry level person who probably has a
Okay.
little experience already in that field. Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of times, when a lot of startups say they are hiring for mid-level, what they are really saying is that they want to hire a senior person with a mid-level salary, or they want to hire an entry-level
Okay.
person with an intense salary. You get. So, and the
Hmm.
truth is, because of the reality of the market, even when you say you want to hire for an internship role, people with some experience will still apply for that role. So the person who is
Mm-hmm.
meant to apply as an intern, it means you are not expected to necessarily have an experience. You are coming to learn on that job. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll be competing with someone who already has some work experience for that same role. You get, because that person is probably in a position where they are currently out of job, and they also compete with you on that particular role. So a lot of times there are actually jobs that are really in demand, yeah, but the experience level at times is what is really in demand is not that job, it is the experience level that is in demand. You get.
Okay.
So a lot of startups and even scale ups, a lot of let me use startups, yeah, maybe especially early stage startups and let's say mid stage startups, startups that are maybe seed level startup, pre-seed to seed level startups. They are looking to hire people they want and start helping them move the needle,
Okay.
because they have goals they need to reach to help them also grow, maybe, or to help them raise a particular funding. So the risk, they might not be willing to take too much risk in hiring someone with zero experience. When they have gotten to the stage where they can financially take that risk, then they would obviously now create room for people who can now come in to intern, for people who can now come in to learn. Yeah.
Okay.
Then there are some other companies who, because of their limited budget, they come out to describe the role that they are hiring for, maybe interns or entry role, but who they are really looking for an experienced person who is open to taking an intern money. Yeah. So what I would say is the whoever you are talking to, who people who are looking to first of all just land their first job, they might at times just look out for maybe they might at times try to look out for maybe internship roles or entry roles, or maybe stay in the communities where a lot of opportunities are being talked about, and they can maybe take advantage of those opportunities.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. This is a lot of insights that people who are the who are just behind the scenes, or they are just unaware of what's really going on. So they don't get to see that this is the considerations that these companies are making before they even choose. Because when sometimes I go on LinkedIn and then I see an intern position, an intern role, and then the JD is something else. And I'm like, how do you expect the person who is supposed to come in as an intern
Yeah.
to have all these qualifications? And it's crazy, really. So, I mean, this is just really an insight into what is obtainable in these organizations. And yeah, I think that really answers it. So let's look at uh, the notion about tech as the new oil.
Mm.
Tech as the new oil. Given the situation of things around acquiring skills, around getting jobs, around living your dream life with tech right now, can we say to a large extent that tech is the new oil or the oil don't fade?
Okay, so yeah, I hear you. I hear you clearly. And
Hello, Harry. We've lost you there. We've lost you. We've lost you. We've lost you. Um, So this, I hope, please, if you're watching this, do not hesitate to share. I can see a question from Dongolo Femi. We're definitely going to answer your question once Harry is able to join us again. Um, please share this to someone that is on your timeline that can actually benefit from this. Okay. Welcome back, Harry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I'll come from it. I'll come from a practical point of view about tech being the new oil. So first of all, I'm someone who never you would never catch me using all these buzzwords. Yeah, I'm not a fan of buzzwords. I'm not a fan of jumping on trends. Yeah, but I'll point of view. So even oil in itself, for you to get oil, you have to dig really, really deep, yeah, before you get oil. Yeah, on rare occasions you just see oil on the surface. The majority of the oil you have to dig really deep into the soil, and that digging takes a lot of time before you actually get oil from it. Yeah, so even tech in itself, yes, tech has presented opportunities to fast track growth through digitization. Yeah. For example, if you are selling a physical product in a physical location, the number of people you are able to reach is very limited. Yeah. But just putting that same product online, it increases your market size all of a sudden. People can order for that same product from different states, from different countries. At Treford alone, at least people have joined sessions. People join sessions from over 15 countries at Treford to learn a skill. Yeah, and the reason we're able to do that is because of tech. So tech gives you the opportunity to move from 0 to 1,000, 1,000 to 1 million within a very shorter space of time. Yeah, compared to other sectors. So yes, tech also gives an opportunity to scale your revenue at a faster rate. Yeah. So when people say tech is a new oil, that is what they probably mean. Because when you dig oil and you find oil, yeah, oil and you sell it, it gives you a lot of revenue opportunity. Back in the days when we were growing up, if we had uncles and aunties that were working in oil companies, we know how rich they are, or we know how rich they were. Yeah, they are rich. Yeah, they are. Sorry for using that word. They are really rich set of people who are able to do a lot of things financially. Yeah, tech presents that same opportunity. Yeah, I'm going to give an
Okay.
example. As far back as 2015 or 2014, 2015, in the heydays of Andela, yeah, people who were working in Andela at the time were earning on the same level as people who were working in oil companies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it is
Yeah.
so for in some perspective, to a large extent, does tech provide opportunity, financially empowering opportunities? Does it provide opportunity to scale your finances? Yes, it does. Yeah, but just like oil, the natural oil, you have to also dig deep. And that digging deep is, you need to put in the work to be really, really good at what you do to earn at that level that just liberates you financially. I have people working from Nigeria remotely for companies in Europe, for companies in US, and they earn $10,000 to $15,000 like every other month. Yeah, as software engineers, or they earn at least $5,000 to $10,000 every other month as software engineers. Understanding the current strength of our currency, when you probably switch that to naira, you know that is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That is a lot.
It is.
So yes, but is there is this a shortcut to wealth? No, it is not. You have to dig. That digging is, you have to put in the work. Yeah, you have to put in. Are there
Mm-hmm.
people earning ridiculous money in tech? Yes, but they are really good at what they do. I think it's important you know
Yeah.
that they are really good at what they do. So yes. So I don't know if it is a new
Okay.
oil, but I know that it really presents an opportunity to scale
Mm-hmm.
financially when you really know your stuff and you are serving people at scale.
Yeah, I think more than just digging deep. I feel like most of the persons who are currently uh, taking a big cut
Yeah.
in the cake
Yeah.
right now are those who have been in the industry even before all this hype.
Yes.
Okay, so those guys have built some experience with hand. They've had a lot of hands-on experience with the building products and even with the evolution of the fintech industry in Nigeria. They've
Yeah.
had all that experience working not just even with Nigerian companies, because
Yes.
obviously these people have already been working with companies outside the country.
Yes.
And now when Nigerian companies want their services, the value is obviously very, very high.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's I think this is some of the realities that we need to wake up to
Yeah.
while we are building. And someone is asking, Dongo is asking, okay, this
So I think
Femi
Dongo
is
already got.
asking,
I think he or she got the response. They got their
got
response
his
already.
answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So for me, I think there's the part of how do you get your experience, which you talked about, trying out projects, because sometimes you may not get a job
Yeah.
to really be able to try out something.
Yeah.
Like people who learn in programming, for example, these guys would have to probably learn and write and learn how to use GitHub and push their code to GitHub
Mm.
and put up projects on GitHub and all that. For people who are coming into tech, I'm just looking at the other angle, the no code area
Side
of
thing.
tech.
Yeah.
These guys may not have the those platforms where they can set up their whatever they've done, show proof of their work, for example,
Mm.
like GitHub. Okay, where they can show proof of their experience, show proof of their whatever they know in the system. So how do they navigate this?
Okay, so one of the ways that I've seen people navigate this is they pick up something to they try to build out something on their own. Yeah,
Okay.
they that means they find something they kind of have a lot of interest in, and they just apply their skills into building that stuff out. Maybe they collaborate with other people
Mhm.
who would give them some time to just build on it. Yeah, it
Okay.
might be as simple as just building out an MVP. MVP in the sense that just building out is a very basic solution that people can actually
Yes.
access. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you do this most times, you find that you are applying a lot of things you've learned into actually making that particular thing happen. Yeah, and eventually
Okay.
that forms the first the even if that stuff doesn't now get to scale, maybe for lack of resources and other things, but it forms a large part of your work experience. So when people are trying to
Okay.
hire you, they reference the fact that you did that particular thing. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of people who landed job just because they worked on stuff on their own. Yeah, and recruiters just leveraged on that thing they did, and it was a big part of their decision making in hiring them for positions.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, awesome. That's really cool.
yeah,
Cool to hear. I feel this is something that someone can pick up and begin to look at your circle, those you can partner with.
yeah,
They could be engineers,
yeah,
they could be people like you who are looking for jobs, and then try and see how you can work around stuff. And I
yeah,
hope that we can get more opportunities like this for people who are looking for roles. So brings us to our next question on the tech ecosystem, the tech education system, basically
yeah,
right now in the country as we see it.
yeah,
What's your opinion on integrating these skills into traditional uh, tertiary institutions? Do you think the system can handle it? Do you think, I mean, they tried to do something with what we've seen, what we have computer science graduates that do not have computers or have not used computers. You see computer engineering graduates that obviously do not know the basics or they just basically know theories around what the discipline but don't have real or hands-on experience. Do you think the system, would there be any improvement if we hand this over to, or we try and see how this courses or this career paths, tech career paths, can become a thing that we have in our tertiary institutions? Because of course we see a lot of tech courses or academic disciplines right now that appear to be irrelevant.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, they are just there, they're obsolete, but people are still going for them. They still have departments, they still have. What do you think about revamping the tertiary institutions that we have currently with the skills that are right now in demand?
And so
What's your opinion on that?
yeah, yeah. So I think it's already ongoing.
Okay.
I know, for example, um, there are quite a, let me say, starting from private universities, there are a couple of private universities who already they now have these things as actual courses. You can go and study product management in
Okay.
these schools. You can go and study design in some of these schools. You can go and study fintech product management in some of these universities, like these private universities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here in Nigeria.
Yes, yes, here in Nigeria.
Okay.
You can study things around fintech in Covenant University now. You can take some
Okay.
courses. I don't know if it is BSc or if it's an executive course, but they have a course on fintech in Covenant. They have a course on, I, but I know it's still a long way. I know but what we are talking about now is we are talking about the federal institutions and the state institutions, the
Yes.
government-owned institution. So it's going to take even some of these federal schools are already going through a lot of reform in their curriculum. Yeah, but I know it's still going to take
Okay.
some time. I'll use OAU as an example. I know in elect, it is not what we studied back then. That is not still the curriculum they still follow. A lot of people, in fact, even back then, a lot of people who study elect in OAU, they probably learn how to programming is now a very big part of that course they study. Yeah, and
Okay.
but I know that it is important for the curriculums we have in our tertiary institutions to go through a lot of revamp to meet the current realities we have in the workspace. Yeah, and that is going to take these things go through a lot of long process, but
Yeah.
I feel that I feel that that journey has started. It might take some time.
Okay.
I don't just know how long it's going to take, but the shorter the better. But I know that that journey has started. I know there are more people in the government space who are now in a position of power who understand the fact that a lot of these curriculums needs to change, and they are making moves to that. Yeah. So we don't know how long it's going to take, but it is a necessity. Yeah, we need curriculums
Okay.
that reflect the current realities of the world and the economy.
Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome. Thank you very much for sharing
yeah,
that. And we look forward to that time where our parents begin to pursue us to go and study software engineering
yeah,
over
yeah.
medicine and
And
God. I mean, medicine is great,
yeah,
but there are so many other things that we could do. You
yeah,
wanted to say
yeah,
something?
yeah. And I feel that a huge part of I feel that a huge part of that, I feel a huge one key thing that would also fast track that is collaboration between the private sector and the public sector, which means that
Okay.
startups who are building ed tech solutions that is already happening too. You notice that Dr. Bosun has recently met with a lot of technical training platform to collaborate with the government in training 1 million youths to gain technical
Mm-hmm.
skills. So
Okay.
I feel more collaboration between the private and public sector would fast track this growth, where people who are creating courses and have gone through a lot of process in creating these courses through interacting with recruiters, interacting with professionals, they are able to now they are able to share some of these curriculums even with federal schools, or they are able to partner with them in now making these courses available to students in schools. So I feel that is something already also in the works.
Okay, okay. We look forward to seeing that reality
Yeah,
in the education system. So, as a startup, I know most of the time it's basically around experimenting, trying out, and trying to also solve a problem. This issue of tech skill education,
yeah.
do you think it's used from what you have observed? Do you think it's still better off as a solution for startups to keep trying out, to keep um, trying to find out what works? Or do you think it's okay we just take it the traditional way? Let's have this in our schools. Which do you think will pay off in the long run?
A blend of both. A blend of both.
Okay.
Yeah. There would always be. So the truth is, the world keeps evolving. So as the world keeps evolving, we keep finding new ways to solve the new problems that we face every other day. And as we figure out there are things we are doing in house at Trefford right now that we didn't learn it from anywhere. We had to create our own solution to that problem because there is no template,
Mm-hmm.
there's no reference point. We have to do our research to solve those problems. Yeah. So, but one thing I think would make things easier is knowledge sharing. There's this hoarding of knowledge currently in the startup space where, this startup wants to hoard all the knowledge because it is some form of, it gives them a competitive advantage. Yeah. So
Yeah.
people, they need to come to, we need to come to a point where we are able to now we are able to now share some of our strategies, some of our roadmap publicly for people to actually access.
Okay.
Yeah, we are going to warm up to that. It's going to take some time. For now, everything is all about making sure you have the competitive advantage over the next person. Yeah. But I feel
Mm-hmm.
when we leave that level of competition into a higher level of innovating based on our customers, upset like your innovation is not coming from your competition, but it's coming from your understanding of your customers needs, then you are now confident enough to now do what we call knowledge sharing, like coming to publicly talk about
Okay.
some of these things so people can learn from them.
Mm-hmm. All right, all right.
Yeah,
I think this is actually getting really interesting, and I want to say that it's been a really, really awesome time talking with you. I don't know if there are questions. I would before I ask my last question on my list,
yeah.
because while you were speaking, you were basically answering some of the questions that I have. So I just had to put them in the
Awesome.
parking lot.
Awesome.
Okay, so if you have questions as you're watching, you can share with them. We've been talking about um, the skills, learning a new skill, and then or transitioning from your previous roles into a new role in tech. How can you can find your way around that for yourself. And yes, Harry has really done a great job. For me, I was thinking that this is something that we needed some other persons. But fortunately, I'm finding that I'm learning as well because I've been thinking about it. And then that's why I felt like, okay, we should have this conversation. Okay, so share your questions in the chat box and we'll take it. Don't forget to share this link so that people can watch and get value for their time. Okay, so my last question, I hope it is how do we've been talking about tech as a money making scheme that people have seen it this way. They've been made to believe that that is what tech represents. And so there are still more persons that are tech. In fact, once they see their friend, and there's one thing about tech people, once you get into tech, even if it's a second you spend, you may not even have a job yet. You just started, or you just got your first job, and how LinkedIn can be so crazy. I want to announce and gladly all that information about a new job and all that. So once your friend sees it, it feels like the next thing is to do is tech. I don't want to be left out. So how do we channel the conversation around tech as a wealth or a quick money scheme? How do we channel these conversations? Because it's no doubt that you can actually build a profitable career in tech, but how do we channel these conversations in a way that we still get more hands in tech, no doubt, because we really need those hands. Imagine how what we are doing currently with labor, the labor in Africa, in this part of the world. We are still transporting labor. Companies outside are still recruiting Africans, recruiting Nigerians to well, I still see companies that testify of how good Africans are in delivering on tasks and all that. So, how do we channel the conversation in such a way that we do not prevent people from coming in, but still help them understand what the realities are, especially for people who are marketing this tech as a in 2 weeks learn a tech skill and get land a job, a remote job, and all that. So how do we channel these conversations?
Yeah, so I mean, part of the ways we can do that is having more people hold conversations like this. Yeah. I think over the last 1 month, this is like the third live event I'm featuring in. I featured in
All
two
right.
podcasts, and I'm featuring in this where I come to now talk about the realities and what is really happening behind the scenes. Yeah. So the more people can connect with people doing stuff in tech on this level, then the better perspective they have to what is going on. Yes, so I feel that that might not necessarily. Yes, a lot of startups wants to sell, and the best way they feel they can sell is make a lot of promises. Yeah, I'm not a fan of promising people stuff you can never deliver. Yeah, but I understand the strategy or the concept of over promising or no. So I'm more of under promise and actually over deliver. Yeah. So there, but there is a trend of over promising people and not even delivering. Yeah. So I also think people who are trying to I understand that people are trying to make money and make enough money to cater for their needs.
Mhm.
And so as a result, they also might just go through underhanded methods in trying to make people promises that don't exist. But the truth is that is not happening only in tech, it is happening everywhere. So we why we are spotlighting this conversation in tech, but it's happening everywhere. Since I was a kid, I
Yeah.
met people who would just you meet people on the street and will tell you that this job will pay you so, and it's not even tech related. Yeah, they will tell you just call this number, do this, and you. So it's happening everywhere. So tech will not be an exemption. The reason it is just more, it looks more pronounced in tech is because there's social media where you can easily just screenshot and put it everywhere. You get so the world is now like a small village. Yeah, but I feel the more conversations like you are having that we have, and the more events around this that we have, and let people also see the practical side of landing a job in tech, where we get more people to share their stories on how they got into tech, the more relatable it is for people. So if you check,
Okay.
there are some of our alumni at Trefford who have shared their story on how they moved from law to product management. And part of what they share is how many jobs they had to apply for and not how they got a job overnight. You get? So it's important for people to know that in more cases than not, you will mostly get a lot of rejection letters than acceptance letter. But it is okay to get a rejection letter and still move on. You get? But when you stop at because when you stop at your first rejection letter after applying for a job, and then you no longer push because you feel it's not lucrative because they rejected me or they didn't accept me because I applied for this role. It is important to start connecting with real people and realize that the real people who are now very successful or who are building who are attaining some level of success in these roles, they were rejected multiple times too. Yeah, not everybody have that luck of just getting your first job in your first application. It takes that doesn't translate to real world most times. You get? So people need to now start having real conversations on how they dealt with rejection, on how they felt, on how they had to psychologically deal with not feeling qualified or not feeling good enough, despite having all the necessary requirements for a particular job, on how they got eventually got their first job, on how they transitioned from their previous job. So when people hear about things like this more, then they can now finally they can connect better.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. I wouldn't want to keep you any further, but I just had a question in my mind, but
All
I'll
right.
leave it for I'll leave it for another time. I'll
Awesome.
definitely leave it for another time.
Awesome.
It's been wonderful having you here. I hope that we definitely will keep these conversations going as much as
Sure.
possible. I'm trying to be, a lot of issues with having this conversation is sometimes you feel like, okay, we need to go into a lot of planning to have events, live events, but we can actually have this conversation on the go like we're doing right now. So instead of
Yeah.
delaying and waiting, let us have a wide a city-wide event with people everywhere. Let's have these conversations in our comfort, in the comfort of our home, so that it actually drives home the points and we see the realities as they are. And I want to say that it has really been an awesome session. If you didn't learn anything, if you didn't pick anything, let me iterate that tech is not a quick money scheme, okay? And then you find that jobs that most of you we are applying for, including myself, okay? You might be in a job before, and then you feel like you could get better opportunities elsewhere. The jobs you're applying for, they are looking for more than you are bringing on board. So you should be ready to face the reality that someone who has more might get it than you who has less. So the goal is to add value to yourself, do something that works, try your hands on something, and build a community, get into networks. I mean, I met Harry at his first no code event in last year, and that's how we connected. And he's here on this platform. So these relationships like this can really go a long way in your career and set you on the path to success. Thank you so much, Harry. I must say that you have been really wonderful. I don't know
Thanks,
how else
man.
to say thank you. Yes, please, your your social media. Please, if you are there, please, I want you to follow Harry on his socials. That is on. Okay, which of them would you like to share? Or your
All right.
Instagram,
I mean,
LinkedIn.
all
Of course,
I'm
LinkedIn is
available on. Yeah,
all
my LinkedIn
platforms.
is Harry Naholo. Yeah,
Okay.
my Twitter is yeah my name and my surname too. Yeah, so if you type out my name and surname on Twitter, you're gonna see me. Or if on in Twitter, you just type no tech bro. Yeah, if you
Okay.
type no tech bro, you see me on Twitter. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right. Okay, so yeah, I've just put that on the screen. No Code Tech Pro on Twitter at No Code Tech Pro, and
yeah,
on LinkedIn is Harry Enaholo. And
yeah.
so you talked about before I let you go, you said you wanted to cook. I mean, going to being a full-time chef.
Yeah.
Are we expecting some kind of technical cookathon?
No, not at all.
The tech version of
Not at all.
the
Not.
tech
I'm not.
version of Hilda Basi.
No, 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 not at all. But obviously, um, I would do a. Obviously, I'm exploring. I'm exploring very fun ideas where, in the nearest
Mhm.
future, there are fun ideas I'm exploring when it comes to tech and cooking, infusing them. Yeah.
Okay.
But more from an interactive point of view, maybe inviting people to
Okay.
come and taste some of the things I'm cooking while we are having a talk about tech.
Mm.
Yeah, and we actually
Okay.
feature it. We feature it on YouTube and feature it on social media
Mm.
where people can actually access it. Yeah, so we kind of
Okay.
bring both passions together. Yeah, but there are other
Awesome.
plans for
Awesome.
cooking. I'm just gonna leave them for now because I'm solely focused on trying to build out what we are building at Trefford at the moment. But every weekend,
Um,
I cook every weekend. I cook every weekend.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah.
That's like okay. So you cook your most of your meals for the week on your weekends, kind of something like
Yes,
that.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I hope to get an invitation, and especially for the one for the YouTube, the one that we
Yeah,
have to eat and
yeah.
talk about tech.
Once we set that up, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen for
All
sure.
right, all
Do that
right.
next year.
Thank Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So this has really been productive. I believe everyone who has stayed up till this time got value for their time, and it's going to definitely be live on YouTube as well. So you can always go back and
Awesome.
really digest some of the things that have been shared here and share it to other people. This is Tech It's Market, and basically what we're doing here is to see how we can bring the technology closer to market in terms of opportunities, in terms of awareness, in terms of uh, lifestyle, basically. And so this is one of the areas we're trying to get people to understand how they can get into tech and how they can transition their careers and the realities around these things. And Harry, you've really done a great job. I want to say thank you so much, and we'll definitely have something like this physically. Looking forward to that. Plans are already ongoing too, where we could have that like a physical place to have this. And I want to say thank you so much. I cannot thank you
Yeah.
enough.
You're
So,
welcome. Keep up the good work, and thanks for what you. I enjoyed
all right.
it. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And I'm very sure my questions were easy because you see, they were not that hard.
We'll have to talk about that separately. Yeah.
No problem, no problem.
Yeah.
All right then. So we're going to call it a wrap right now, and we're seeing you at the next Take It to Market session, and it's going to definitely be very very interactive. We're going to have another guest come on board, and for now, this is Jude saying bye, and Harry,
Bye.
uh, right? Okay, bye everyone.